Okay, so welcome everybody to our final Zoo View of the season. My name is Sarah Doucette. I am the chair of Friends of Hyde Park Zoo. On our technology side today, we are happy to have Anna making sure that the recording has started and that the Zoom continues. So let me see where we're going today. If you don't get to see the whole Zoo View today, or if you'd like your friends to share what they've missed today, in a couple of days, this recording will be posted on our YouTube channel. And in fact, you can find all of our Zoo Views we've done this year on that channel. So I am going to jump straight in to introduce our wonderful guest today. So Joan McKenzie is a member of the Etobicoke Hand Weaver and Spinners, and practices a number of techniques: spinning, weaving, dyeing, felting, knitting, rug hooking, crochet, tatting, and various forms of needlework. Spinning, weaving, and dyeing are recent additions to the other techniques that she has been doing for a number of years. Joan has been spinning since 2007 and holds a certificate of spinning excellence from the Ontario Hand Weavers and Spinners. She has started her teaching career teaching spindle and wheel spinning at Nelson Park Creative Centre. As a longtime resident of Toronto, she has been to the park and the zoo many times. Llama fibers is a recent addition to her fiber source, and it was actually used in the 50-mile coat that her guild made in 2016. And since then, she has obtained fleece for herself and other guild members through the zoo. The guild spun fiber from honey, which is the one there, that's honey, in 2018, and then knitted a number of headbands with the llama design that was used as a fundraiser for us, as well as contributing items for the annual Christmas event in Hyde Park at the Grenadier Restaurant. In 2019, Joan and Carolyn Ramos, another guild member, had a great day, and it was fun, demonstrating how to spin llama fleece at the zoo. And we hope that they will join us again next year to do the same thing. Now, llama fleece is being spun this year is being spun at a mill, and it will be available soon as a fundraiser, and more details to come on that. So I'm now going to hand over to Joan, who has an amazing demonstration set up for us. So Joan, over to you.
Okay, thanks very much, Sarah. If you could spotlight me, that would be great. There, have you got the spotlight set up? Okay. Oops.
Sorry, there we go. Okay, you're good?
Yeah, I don't see me spotlighted yet. So
what is that?
Oh, it's well, or either that, or if people could pin me to their screen,
okay,
so that they can see me.
So if people just make sure that they go to speaker, and then you will pop up onto their screens, right?
Okay, yes, that'll work too. Okay, thanks very much. Well, thanks very much for that nice introduction. And I definitely do want to be back at the zoo at some point. And hopefully we can have a nice day as we do today. So I'm going to talk about a number of things. Just ignore my kitchen. It's a COVID kitchen, sort of full of warmth and all kinds of goodies all around. But first, I'm going to talk about the llama fiber. So I'm just going to take a minute here and switch cameras, and I'll show you what the fiber looks like. There we go. Llama fiber is quite an interesting fiber in that it's what we call double coated, which means that it's got some soft stuff and it has some guard hair. So when I get a fleece, this is the first thing that I have to do, which is to actually de-hair it if we want it to be nice and soft. You can also spin it all together, but it is nicest to do the de-hairing, which takes a little bit of time. So I have some samples here. This is some lovely fiber from honey. I still had a few samples left, and you can see the main part of the staple is about 3 inches long, but look at these long hairs. Now the guard hairs, what they do is they help protect the animal from the wet, because they're on the, fall down on the outside of the animal, and they would take the rein and pull it away from their body. But as you can see, they're fairly coarse. You can really see them. They're about the size of human hair. So to de-hair the llama fiber, what we do is we take a lock like this and pull out the guard hair. They just pull out rather nicely. This may not get every single one of them, but it sure gets a good bunch of them. And then I've got all this nice fiber. That's the nice soft stuff. And I'll just show you a couple more. Again, you can see here's the guard hair, and it feels quite different as well. Honey was actually a lovely llama. She has very soft guard hair compared to other ones. I've got another sample from another llama. I don't know the name of this one. This one we got in 2015. And as you can see, there's quite a difference in color between the guard hair, which is like an orange color, and the main fiber underneath. But again, we do the same thing. I look for those darker fibers and pull them out. This is something that's sort of a mindless activity. You do need a bit of a good light for it. And this one, actually, it's quite a bit coarser, both the underlying fiber and the hair. And as you can see, it's a little bit labor intensive as well. So processing llama fiber by hand is a little bit of a labor of love, but the end result is worth it. Now I had another one to show you as well. This is from Panama. And I wanted to show you some of the differences. First, the difference in color. You can see it's a beautiful sort of rusty red color compared to the gray of honey, or the sort of white, light tan color of the other llama. And it's much longer. Oh geez, can't even just barely get it into the full view of the camera. It's probably about like 12 to 14 inches long. So what that means is just this llama wasn't sheared as often. This is likely 2 years growth, and it's from some years ago. But now that the zoo is shearing their llamas every year, we get a much more manageable length of fiber to work with, because this is kind of tricky to spin. But you can see it's the same growth pattern with the mix of hair, the nice soft stuff at the bottom, and then these hairs. And I do the same thing. This is felted just a wee bit because it'd been on the animal for so long. You just take some and you pull them out. Pull out all that tough hair part. Now, in case you're wondering if this is unique to llamas, the answer is it's not. The concept of having two coats, I'll just keep pulling while I'm talking, is shared by a number of other fiber animals, including sheep and bison and muskox and yak and dogs. So I have some examples of a wool fleece. This is Icelandic wool, and doesn't it look a lot like the llama? This is, again, pretty local. It's from some Icelandic sheep that are grown, raised at Kimber Valley Farms up in just north of Kimberley in the Beaver Valley. And again, you can see how there's lots of soft stuff here, and then these long guard hairs. So to process Icelandic, you can do the same thing. You pull these guard hairs out. Now, in this case, these are the same color as the underlying fiber, but sometimes when you get them, they're different colors. And because the Icelandic people have been raising sheep for, probably hundreds, if not thousands of years, they actually have special names for the guard hair. It's called the tog, and this is called the thal. And they would use this nice soft stuff for next to the skin wear. The other sample I have here is of bison. Actually, this is also from the Hyde Park Zoo. Bison have a lot of coarse stuff. So look at their fiber. It's really coarse. You might not want to wear that next to your skin, but they have some parts of the bison do have some very soft parts, but just you have to really work to get at it. But Anna gave me a bag full of bison I'm still thinking about what am I going to do with it, but it'd be great to spin up say to make into a bag or a market bag, or something where you needed a lot of strength. Probably make a fabulous rug, be hard wearing. So it's not that there's never any bad fiber. It's just sometimes you have to work to find out how you're going to use it. So I brought some other examples too of just when we have the llama fiber, how do we process it? As you can see, once I take the guard hair out, I get a nice lock. But if you can see, it's fairly straight. There's not a lot of waves. Whereas if I compare it to a lock of a sheep, this is from the Romney sheep. Look at all the sort of ripples it has. They're called crimp. And that's what gives wool its elasticity. If I take off a little piece, you can see it stretches. But with llama, the same with alpaca, it doesn't stretch. You can pull it and tug it. And because there's no crimp, no wavy bits, it doesn't stretch. So often you'll see that yarn has got a blend of wool and llama, and that's to give it some stretch. Here's another type of wool. Look at this one. This is from a Lincoln sheep, and it's really curly. And again, some of the differences it gives, look, it'll stretch. When you spin it up, you can really poke it, pull it, but not with the llama. So it gives you some example of the differences in the different types of fiber animals. So I'm going to show you what I do once I have this fiber either dehaired or working with it as it is. I have a bag of fiber here. This is from when we dehaired honey, we ended up with lovely bunches of stuff, which actually is fairly soft. So what I decided to do was just process this and spin it as is. It's not maybe something I'd want to wear next to my skin around my neck, but I could certainly make an outdoor scarf or mittens or something with it, or slippers. So I'm going to show you what I do when I card this fiber. Just going to switch cameras again. If you'll bear with me for a minute. Switch cameras and switch positions. Here we are. So I'm going to show you how to card the llama. I have my hand cards here. And to card it, you just sort of lash it onto the hand card. Not in any particular order. It doesn't have to be aligned because that's what the cards are going to do for you. And then you take the other card and just sort of start brushing it, taking it from one card and putting it onto the other one. And then I switch hands and I do it again. You can see how it's already starting to get ordered a little bit. It's much straighter than it was before. So 3 passes I found has been enough. And then I've got my fiber all nice and carded. And then what I can do, I'm just going to take it off. Like often you'd roll it up, but I want to keep the fibers sort of lengthwise aligned. So I'm just pulling it off like this, and I get a nice bundle. And then I can just tease it out a little bit, and then I can spin. So I have my spinning wheel. You can see my herd of wheels in the background. And yes, we do call a collection of spinning wheels a herd. I don't have a herd of sheep or llamas, but I have a herd of spinning wheels. And I just start spinning. I just attach it. And this is called drafting it out. And you can see it's collecting on the bobbin. I love the sound of a spinning wheel. And actually on a day like today, it's really, really nice to be able to take your spinning wheel, because they are fairly portable, and take them outside and just sit out in the sunshine. And Carolyn and I had such a great day 2 years ago when we were at the zoo. It was a beautiful day, and we had so many people come by and talk to us, and there were so many questions, and all the kids that came, I had bins of fiber out for them to check out. So I had people de-hairing the fiber for me, and then we could spin it. It was really great fun. It was a wonderful day. And I definitely would, both Carolyn and I would love to get back to the zoo again. So hopefully next summer we can do that. So as you can see, spinning takes a little bit of time. I'm still working on the same bundle here. It'll keep me going for a few minutes. And what I'm doing is spinning what's called a single. So it's a 1 ply of yarn. And typically what I'll do is make what's called a 2-ply yarn. So I'll take 2 singles and ply them together. If you're a knitter, I'm sure you've heard the terms of a 2-ply yarn or a 3-ply yarn or a 4-ply yarn. And what that refers to is the number of singles that are present in the resulting yarn. So I'll finish spinning this bundle. And then you'll see that I'm going to show you what it's like to ply them together and how to do that.
Joan, we have a question. Someone wants to know if you spin it without washing it, or I guess when do you wash it?
Good question, because there's this llama I'm spinning unwashed because it was relatively clean. With llamas, actually, it's a really good question. Llamas don't have any lanolin in them. So if the fleece is dirty, it's mostly just dust. And so I find they're usually clean enough that I can spin them as is, and then wash the yarn afterwards. And then that's when the dust and any dirt bits will come out. Whereas with sheep yarn, sheep have a lot of lanolin, the grease on them, and typically you wash that first. You don't have to, but it means your spinning wheel gets kind of greased up. So I'm going to take this off. Change bobbins quickly, and then show you what it's like to fly. She's just doing a time check. Sarah, is it a half-hour talk, or can I go over a bit?
I am sure you can go over a bit, Joan.
Okay. Just realizing I do tend to chatter on here. There's so much to show you too.
You're hypnotizing us with your spinning here.
Okay. So just have to get the wheel set up, and then I'll show you. I feel like I was doing a cooking show, where you're preparing something and then you whip out one that's already been done. So I can whip out, here's my plying machine or my holder for my spindles. And as you can see, I have one bobbin full that I did yesterday, and I'm going to put this bobbin in and ply the 2 of them together. And to ply, what you do is actually you spin it, but in the opposite direction, because spinning is really just twisting. And by twisting in one direction and then twisting 2 strands together in the other direction, that's how you get the ply. Now I was going to get it off my bobbin here. I can show you. Here's the two strands, the spot where you can see them easily. It's a little hard. There we go. And then they were spun in one direction, and then I'm going to apply them in the other direction. And that's where you get your, sorry, it's a little hard to see. Here, put it against my hand. You can see that's your plied yarn. And I'll do a little bit of plying. And then I will talk about, I can talk about while I'm doing this, what you can use your yarn for. And I have a sample of a skein of yarn and some little swatches.
Joan, we also have a question about, I guess, why do you prefer a 2-ply versus a 1-ply? Is it just the purpose of the what you're knitting or making use of?
Yes. Yes, the 2-ply yarn as well has more integrity. It's stronger and it's thicker. Most knitting yarn is 2-ply, although of course it means you have to spin it 3 times. Once for each single and then once for the ply. But that's the most traditional way of spinning of the yarn preparation. So it's what plies do is they bulk up the yarn and then they add strength. So those are the 2 reasons. The other reason for multi-ply is a lot of people use 3-ply in say sock yarn. And one of the reasons would be that a 3-ply is a fairly round yarn. So it would show really good stitch definition. So if you're doing cables, like an Aran yarn is typically multi-ply, or sock yarn. People say, you want socks that are nice and squishy. And so you would, most sock yarn, if you check, untwist the plies, it's a 3-ply. The other reason for multi-plies is some fibers really like to be spun very, very thin, like cotton or even silk. So to get a yarn that's usable, then you would want to ply that up into multi-plies. Cotton yarn, if you ever untwist it, sometimes it's, oh my heavens, the commercial stuff is 8 or 10 plies. So one thing I'm hoping you're noticing is this does take a bit of time. So when Anna approached me about doing some work for the High Park Zoo, we said, okay, we'll check it out. So we got this lovely fleece from Honey, and I designed a headband that had llamas around it that I thought they'd be kind of fun. And I recruited some knitters and some spinners. And I guess it was 2018, 2019, a few years ago. I had the guild had make some projects where we would spend the day dehairing and spinning, and then I recruited some knitters to knit up headbands. But it was a fair bit of work, so I said to Anna, there's mills that will do this for you. So we did a bit of research and found that there's a mill near Orangeville that already does llama fur. There are llamas and alpacas have very similar needs. Alpaca fiber is very similar to llama, although with the breeding they've done, most alpacas have very little guard hair. So it's much softer as well. It's got a finer, we call a lower micron count, which is a sort of microscopic measurement of the width of the fibers. Alpaca is very, very soft, but it needs often to be dehaired as well. So there's mills set up for processing animals that need the dehairing. The other animal you've probably heard of that needs dehairing is a cashmere goat, because cashmere on the goat that it grows on, the Angora goats, again, is a dual coated fiber. The cashmere is the undercoat, the soft fiber, and then there's quite a bit of hair on it. So there are mills set up that do that process. So 2 years ago, we got Anna trucked some fiber up to the mill and they produced some yarn. And another friend of mine who's a knitwear designer designed this gorgeous basket weave headband specifically to use the yarn from the mill. And we donated those 2 patterns to the Friends of High Park Zoo. The basket weave headband is made of a single color. Actually, I don't have one here, but I have a sample of the llama headband, which was set up to use 2 colors of yarn. And we sized the yarn so that 2 skeins of yarn, 2 different colors, will knit 2 headbands with complementary colors between the background and the actual llamas. So I'm plying away here, and I think I'm going to stop soon, but you see plying goes a lot faster than the spinning. It doesn't take near as long. And if I was doing a 3-ply, then I would be feeding 3 singles at a time to get the plied yarn.
Joan, we see your hand going back and forth. Is that just to keep it feeding correctly?
Yes.
Or is there?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, actually, what I'm doing is it's almost always a fixed distance, and I'm feeding the yarn on. So I'm counting actually my treadles, because you want to apply evenly to get the same amount of twist in it. So yeah, I'm just going back. I can also, well, yeah, it just works. It's just the way I apply. So it gives me a consistent ply twist on the resulting yarn. But you can see how the yarn's building up on the bobbin. We've got actually a fair little bit. Of course, because I had spun some on both bobbins ahead of time to get ready for this. So how about I'll break this, and I can get a piece of paper. If you can see, there's the, whoops, got some guard hair on it. Oh, let me get a better piece of plain white paper. You can see there's the yarn that I've just made. If you can see the definition on that. So then the next step, once we've done that, is I have to take a device called a nitty knotty. Oh, please. That's what this device is. Just going to lift the camera up a little bit. Oh, lost my Zoom thing. Hold on a second. Get it back. There we go. You know how when you touch something on your screen, all of a sudden it flips to another app? So this is to get the yarn off the bobbin. I wind it on this device called a nitty knotty. And then that allows me to, package the skein up in a nice circle, and I'll put some yarn ties on it, and then I'll wash it. And then by washing it, what I do is I soak it in warm water with a little bit of soap, a natural detergent as much as possible for about 20 minutes, and then hang it up to dry. And then I have my skein that's ready to do whatever I want to do with it. So you can knit with it, you can weave with it, whatever you want to do. Oh, this is. So what I thought I'd do next is I will switch to my other camera, and I can show you some of the samples. So you've seen that enough. Let me switch to the other camera, and I'll go back to my other spot. Here we are. Clear off this table of these things. I don't need those anymore. And what I wanted to show you this time was some of the items that have been made. So ta-da! Here is a sample of the llama headband. My computer out of the way. That was designed, and then the pattern is available through the Friends of High Park Zoo. And but you don't have to do a headband. Here's a little swatch with the yarn that I made yesterday using the same bag of fiber I was just using today. So you can see it, there's a bit of garter stitch and then just a plain stitch. So this would work really well to make a hat, to make some mittens. It's a little bit hairy because I've got some of those guard hairs in it. You can see it. But if I just did the soft parts, it wouldn't be quite as fuzzy. Although it'll fuzz out a little bit. What the fuzz is, it's just the ends of the fibers that are sticking out. And then what we did when we designed the pattern, we made all these different swatches just to check out the colors. So you can see that was a really nice definition with the different colors. Some worked better than others. This one didn't show quite so much. And the reason why we had different colors was that Honey, being the wonderful llama that she is, isn't that a nice color? Had so many different colors on her fiber. It was just fabulous. I think in the end, I was able to separate out the different colors, and she had 7 different colors on her, which was really lovely. So when the mill was processing all the fibers, they separated them into 3 colors. We had these 2 here, and then we had a gray. So it worked out really well that we had 3 colors to work with. And here's an example This was one of the skeins that was produced last year commercially by the mill. And as you can see, it's a nice yarn. I think it was a sport weight, and it's a 2-ply. To check the plies, you sort of untwist it, and you can see there's the, if you can see this, there's the 2 strands. Any yarn that you want to check out. Oh, actually, no, it's 3. It's a 3-ply. There we go. There's 3 of them, 3 very fine ones. I don't typically spin it that fine, but that's how you can check to see what type of ply it is. I have another little sample of some weaving I did. Because I used it both for warp and for weft. And this was my little just test sample. And it's a little hard to see here, but you can see down at the bottom, there's different colors. Here's the silver, and then there's more of a gray into a gray brown, and then more of a brown. And then this is the darkest color. And these are all the colors we got from honey. She really was a honey of a llama. Here's my little card I have with all the colors. I call them a silver, a light gray, a medium gray, a dark gray, a medium brown, and a gray brown. So when this one advantage of hand processing it, that I was able to separate all the different locks of honey, you know, so I would take these locks and I would go through the big bundle. And actually, if you're wondering how much of a bundle you get off the llamas, you know, those brown garbage bags that we put our leaf waste in? Well, it filled the bag about 3/4 of the way up. So you get a lot of fiber off one llama. So by hand processing it, I was able to separate it into bags of different colors and then preserve the colors. And I think Sarah showed honey in the background. You can see she had a number of spots on her. She was really lovely. But of course, the mill doesn't do that, but they were able to separate it into the 3 colors, a light, a dark, and then a gray blend, which worked out really, really well. So I think that's just about everything, Sarah, that I was going to talk about. Oh, just one other thing, and I may not demo it because we're sort of out of time here. This is a spindle. So it's another way that you can spin. Of course, spindles have been used for a long, long time. Thousands and thousands of years. They keep finding little spindle whorls. This is the whorl and this is the shaft. They used to make them out of rocks or just out of pottery or anything. I've even seen, actually in a museum in Ireland, I saw a spindle whorl made out of a dried up potato. They actually did that apparently when they had potatoes. And you just draft it the same way. It's a slower way of spinning, but eminently portable. And there still are places in the world today, especially down in South America, where they do a lot of their spinning on spindles because they're doing it as they're walking to and from the market or as they're herding the animals up in the mountains. Spindles are extremely popular down in South America, which of course is where llamas originate from. So thank you very much. I hope that gives you some idea of the things that you can do with llamas, and also some appreciation of what goes into making yarn. Thanks very much. Over to you, Sarah.
All right. If Anna can give me back my camera, that would be amazing. Please, Anna. See, she has control over all the technology in the back. There we go. Start my video. Perfect. All right. So I've changed my background, as you can probably see, to show one of the headbands that Joan and her wonderful team made for us last year.
Yeah.
And
so, Sarah, I don't see you.
You don't see me?
No, but maybe it's because I have to just...
I think you have to go on to gallery view, maybe.
Okay.
Are you?
Yep, got it.
Got it? Good, brilliant. So yeah, this is some of our headbands. As I say, Joan and her friends knitted some for us. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. It was 2019.
2 years ago, yeah.
2019.
Yes, it was.
And we sold them as fundraiser. So Joan touched on a little bit about the fleece from this year. So yes, the last 2 years we have taken, or Anna has taken, our fleece where Joan has recommended up to Orangeville. And we're hoping to get the yarn back in November. So we are looking to do a sort of a sale then. Come and buy your yarn ready for your Christmas knitting or to give the yarn as a Christmas present. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on our website, and you'll learn more about how we will be distributing the yarn this year. Last year, I believe we got about 70, 75 skeins, and they sold within 24 hours. So if you are interested in purchasing, as soon as you hear about it, don't wait around. You need to really jump on it quickly. We are thinking of having a day at the zoo. So again, we will let you know more about that near the time. Well, Joan, thank you so much. This was so amazing. It's lovely to see you doing the skills and the techniques you were doing down at the zoo. I have been tweeting out a little bit, to be honest. I took some photos of you spinning and carding and doing the dehairing, and someone came back and asked me if I could use a spindle. And I go, no, this isn't me. This is not me. This is Joan from the Etobicoke Hand Weavers and Spinners group, showing us what you can do with Honey the Llama's fleece and how we end up with actual yarn to use. So thank
you very much.
Yes. Now, does anyone else have any questions? I think because we are a fairly small group, you could probably actually even unmute yourself if you do have a question. Oh, well done, Joan. I should go pull mine. It's in my...
Make sure I got them right side up.
Yes, exactly. So if you do have a question, you can either type it into the chat, or as I say, if you did want to unmute yourself and ask a question, you may. I thought it was very interesting listening to or looking in the chat. We have someone joining us from Suffolk, England. I know Suffolk. I've been there for a while. And she was asking about, how do you use it without washing it? And that in England, the guild is not allowed to use any of it without having it washed for health and safety reasons and to protect the public. So yeah. That is interesting concept. I mean,
because actually when the Royal Winter Fair typically has an event every fall, a sheep to shawl, and actually we spin raw wool. It's not washed. So it's not uncommon here. Of course, it all gets washed before it's provided to the public. Definitely.
Exactly.
Yes, you wash it after you spin it. And then if you're making something, then you would make your garment as well. And by the way, it's very warm. Llama, I think, is rated as being warmer than wool. Just from the construction of the fibers. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I wear it. It's almost like it's good to have a headband because it's so warm around your ears, that lets the steam rise off the top.
So, all right. So
are there any other questions?
I think we've covered all the questions. You've given so much information as you were going through things. I think that's amazing. So Joan, I do want to thank you for joining us today on our Zooview, and just repeat that this will be posted onto our YouTube channel. So anyone who's missed it, you can still watch it. And I do want to give one little plug for a new event, which will be run by Friends of Hyde Park Zoo coming up in December. We're going to be doing holiday trees. I should change my background, but I haven't. We're doing holiday trees, and we're encouraging businesses to come and sponsor a tree. They'll decorate it. It will have lights. It'll be beautiful. And then we invite the public to come and walk through the zoo and see these beautiful lights twinkling as they go through the zoo. So watch for that. As I say, they're going to be the trees will be in the zoo from around December 5th to January the 8th. It's a new feature we're hoping to do annually. This is our first time trying it. It's appropriate for social distancing. It's appropriate because it's outdoors. And just for those of you who haven't actually joined us on any of my Earth Hour walks through the zoo, it's interesting to see the reaction of the animals when you actually go through after dusk. They come over even more to see what the heck you're doing. So,
and it's a great opportunity to wear a llama headband and keep your ears warm.
Exactly. There's a good point. I do just see one quick question we'll do, and then we have to close off. Are guard hairs useful? And if so, what can you use them for?
Definitely useful. You can spin them. And what I would use them for is something where it's maybe needs a lot of strength. So actually be fabulous if you're making a rug, and you could use this for what's called the warp of the rug, which is what you put onto your loom, and it needs to be strong. And often your warp can be covered over with another fiber, with the weft. So the guard hairs would make a really strong warp. I've also seen where people spin it and they weave it up into a dog leash or a carrying strap, or it could be a really strong market bag. So that would be really, really good to spin those things up to. And actually, depending on the guard, like Honey's guard hair is really relatively soft. So when I spun it up like all together, it actually works quite well on its own. It's just, you may not want to put it next to your neck, but certainly on your, for a hat or mittens, it would be very useful. So anything where you want some strength.
Here's another quick question. Do you prefer llama or alpaca? Well, I don't know if she can answer that one because we only have llamas at the zoo, but I will let
only
you
llamas. They're both nice.
Very tactful. I know that the alpaca, as you say, is a bit smooth, softer because it doesn't
Tends
have
to be
so many-
softer.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then don't forget, they've been bred for fiber.
Okay.
Where the llamas at the zoo, actually, I was amazed at how soft Honey was, because you don't breed for fiber, you breed more for genetics and health of the herd and things like that. So llamas are.
We actually, sorry to interrupt, we don't breed. They're the ones who do their own breeding.
Okay.
And this year we're going to have another granddaughter of Honey is Stardust, and she's also multicolored.
Oh,
so she's got the brown and white neck, and then going
I've
to the
seen
darker
her.
body.
Yeah.
We didn't. I
she's-
don't think she was done last year or the year before. I can't remember. Last year
okay.
she was, but not the year before. So that will be a
Yeah.
new fleece we have coming. Anyway,
Okay.
thank you so much, Joan, for joining us today. As I say, we look forward to seeing you at the zoo, hopefully next year. That would be brilliant.
Yes, that'd be great.
The new building and everything. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And stay tuned for when our this year's fleece will be available as yarn. We will publicize it, as soon as we know when we're going to be getting everything back from the mill. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy your winter time. We'll see you at the holiday trees. I realize this is backwards for some reason. I'm not sure why. But we'll see you at the holiday trees. All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks again, Sarah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.